This is Close Encounters. Close Encounters. True stories, real people. Close Encounters on Cross Rhythms.
Yes, hello and welcome to Close Encounters with me, Anne Donaldson. My guest today is Lena Galasal. Lena is a wife, mother, school teacher, and leads a ministry to mothers of babies and toddlers in North London, which is called Busy Bees. So welcome, Lena, to Close Encounters. It's lovely to have you here.
Hello, Anne. Thank you for having me today. It's a great opportunity for me at the beginning of this year to share about my faith. Thank you for having me again.
That's wonderful. So, Lena, I know that you were born in Romania, but you're now living in Harrow in North London. But when you were born during the communist regime. And I was just interested to know, what was it like in those early years of your life?
Yeah, you're right. I do remember a few things, not too many because I was very young. Revolution came when I was 12. But life was not easy at all. We had to wake up in the morning to line up to buy groceries. They were rationalized. You had a ticket according with the numbers that you had in the family, and you get the amount of sugar and flour and oil per week or per month. And then to get bread, we had to get up like 5 o'clock or 4 o'clock in the morning to line up in a big queue. That would finish about 8 o'clock in the morning. That from there we went straight to school. The bread was like hard rock black. We didn't know what white bread was.
Yeah.
We were happy because as children you don't have the responsibilities of an adult. So our parents knew how to, make us more comfortable. So we had the time to enjoy the winters and the summers that we had. We had very long winters with snows that would last for weeks. We would do sleigh rides, pulled by cars. We had fights with snow. It was like you really felt the joy of being a child. We were not into internet and other things. We just lived the moment. During the summers, I would be at my grandparents' up in the village, in the mountains, when I was helping them with their work in the fields. And I remember I have some great memories as I was riding horses. I was picking up blueberries from the forest. Once I met a bear. I ran so fast.
A bear?
A bear. He was on the other side of the bush, and I was picking up raspberries or blueberries. I don't remember perfectly, but I just heard it. The bush was really big, like very big, and I saw the fur, and I just turned around and ran like a deer. We had great summers. I was sleeping in the hay. My grandparents, they had a lot of field. I had to help them out. But at the end of the day, I realized that helped me to be resilient and to be able to work hard. And those days were not very happy for me because my parents were in their house and I was with my grandparents for 3 months every summer since I started school until I was 17. So I had to get adjusted to it. But as I look back, I realized it was a great experience right in my early childhood. But yeah, and then revolution came when I was 12. But school, as we were in a small town, school was good. They would not emphasize about Ceausescu and his regime, though we had pictures of him in every classroom, on the hallways, on the front page of the books. His pictures were everywhere. But in primary, nobody really talked about him because we were too young to understand. So teaching was really good. I liked school. I read a lot. My mom had a big library in her room, and I read all her books. except the socialism books. Didn't like. And I headed up to the town library to read those books. So I think I quite read a lot because we didn't have TV. You see, we had only 2 hours in weekends, and we would hear 1 hour about Ceausescu and his good actions that he did and how Romania was great. And then 1 hour there were praises about him and songs and dancing and nothing really like entertainment or movies. Maybe because we're close to Hungarian border, and in communism the borders were closed, we couldn't visit. But sometimes we would catch with an antenna made of fork.
Oh, right.
On the top of the TV.
Yes.
We would catch Hungarian programs, and we would watch cartoons, and we did what we could.
It's fascinating. I'm just thinking how many of us couldn't refer to our childhood as engaging with a bear, and watching TV through an antenna made with a fork. So it's certainly a very different sort of childhood. And during that time, was there any concept for you of God, of there being a creator God?
Oh, no. We did not have a Bible in our house. We never spoke about him. Sundays were nice because we enjoy being in the family. My mother was a teacher, so she would work every day. Those days we went to school from Monday to Saturday, so we only had Sunday off. My mom would prepare meals on Saturday for Sunday, because that was the only day we would eat meat. It was not, we were poor because Ceausescu wanted to pay all the debts Romania had, and he managed to. But that was a big restraint on the families in all over the country. So we didn't have enough food. But then we would go for walks, long walks. I was happy to grow up in a town, really beautiful, with a river and very, very nice sightseeing. But we never spoke about God.
No,
I never heard about him.
That's amazing.
And my mom, because she was a teacher, she wasn't allowed to express any faith, though they were married in a church. But she was not expressing her faith, not going to church, because she would lose her job. You can't be a Christian under the communism and be a figure in the society. So you can't work for the government if you're a teacher or something, or a believer.
This is, Lena, this is a wonderful insight for us. It's really interesting. I think it's a good time to pause for your first piece of music. And I wonder if you'd like to introduce it.
Yeah. The song is called Open the Eyes of My Heart, Lord. And it was the first type of music that I would listen, because I started to search for God when I was about 12. And it really spoke to my heart. It was my prayer to ask God to open my eyes to see if he is there.
You're listening to Close Encounters. I'm Anne Donaldson, and my guest today is Lena Galasal. So, Lena, before that lovely song, you were saying that you were 12 years old when the revolution happened. Can you share with us something about this momentous time?
Yeah, it was 1989. I remember I was at home with my older brother, who at that time was really sick. It was during one night when they have asked us to turn the lights off through a megaphone in the whole town. So everybody turned the lights off, and we heard helicopters above our houses. They said if they see lights, they're gonna bomb us. So everybody was scared. I was only 12. I was so scared. My brother was very protective, and he tried to calm me down. And I was really worried. But he said, this is a good thing. We're going to be free. We can go to America if we want. We're going to have freedom. And I was like, okay, if you say so.
It would be
And that-
it'd be very scary for a 12-year-old.
Yeah, we didn't understand what was going on. But, because as I mentioned before, we didn't have access to TV programs or news. We could only listen to radio. And those days, people have taken over media in Bucharest, and they did put it through radio that the revolution was happening, but it started in Timișoara. So being Bucharest, far away from our village, because we are in northwest Romania, it was like a bit comforting. But the revolution started in Timișoara, which was like 2-3 hours from where we stayed. And that really was unsettling for us. But through the radio, they have started to tell us what's going on. And then a month later, because the revolution happened in December, they did put it through TV, and we saw what happening. We saw the execution of Ceausescu family. It was sad. It was sad. I just remember that it was like a breakthrough from what we were at to something new. And everybody was like released from something that was like, when an animal is holding a cage, it feels like down and depressed. And when it breaks out and the freedom really starts to enjoy it and to feel it. So this is what we felt. We felt like we are not encaged anymore, and we started to enjoy. But people, then children and students in school, they ripped off the first pages with Ceausescu pictures, and they took them off the walls just to express that he was gone. Very interesting. But at those days, we were more concerned about my brother, because he was going through chemotherapy. He had leukemia. He got it in 1988 when the Chernobyl nuclear reaction explosion happened. So a lot of children were affected, and the hospitals were filled with children sick of cancer. And he was one of them. And my mom had to take off time from school, from teaching, to be with him and leave me behind. I had another brother, but he was spending most of his time with my grandparents, either maternal grandparents or my father's parents. He was not much around because my parents could not look after him and my older brother who was sick, and me.
Yes.
So it started after I was 12. It started to be really hard for me. Most of the times I would be by myself in different houses just to be able to go to school. My mom would carry for my brother in different hospitals in Romania. And after 3 years, so 1 year later after the revolution, he died. Mm-hmm. And that was the time when I started to look for God. And I remember the night that he died, he spoke to me. He said, "I'm going to be fine. Don't worry." He was a very clever boy. He was about 15 then. Mm-hmm. 2 more weeks, he would have been 15. And my mom said, "You go to bed now." I went to bed in about half an hour, and I kneeled down. We never heard of God in our family. So I kneeled down by my bed and I prayed, and I said, "God, if you exist, can you please save him? I don't want him to die." And I went to bed hoping that God exists. My mom woke me up early, about 6 o'clock in the morning, and she said, "Wake up, your brother died." And then I got angry. I said, "God, you do not exist. I don't want to hear about you." I was just a child. I started to go in depression. I wanted to die. I wanted to kill myself, jump off the bridge. And I couldn't sleep at nights. I had nightmares. I saw curtains moving in the house, things moving in the house. I really wanted to die. I loved him a lot. I missed him so much, and it was like a fall that took place in my being, like something was emptied, and I had no reason to live. So what I did, because I said to God, "I'm going to get to know you, to fight you, to prove that you're me, God, if you exist." So I found the Bible very small Bible that my mom got when she was in hospital, because Christians would go in hospitals and sing and hand out Bibles and stuff to the parents and to the children, like toys. So we had one of those Bibles, and I started to read. And in that time, when I was just 13, I read the Bible every night. And in 3 months, I finished it all.
Wow.
From the beginning to the end. Nobody told me to read it. It just came out of my desire to know God and to fight with him. And, God played his part. He got into my game. And when I was reading the Bible before to go to sleep, and that was about 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning because I couldn't sleep, I was hiding it under the pillow because my parents would not allow me to read it. But when I was reading the Bible, I had dreams that I was an angel, I could fly, I could sleep. I was actually sleeping and resting. And when I was not reading the Bible, I felt like I was falling into a fire pit, and I was burning, and I was very scared. I didn't sleep. So I was forced somehow to read the Bible just to be able to rest for a few hours at night. So this is why I used it as a tool to help me sleep. Of course, when I was reading it, one page was a good one. I said, oh, okay, God, maybe you have something good about you. But then I would read something that I didn't like, and I would say, God, you're so mean. How could you put these children to death with the prophet in the Old Testament? And I said, a good God will not kill children. And, all these, like a teenager thinking. And then I started to have dreams about me going to a church that I never saw. So one day I had this dream with my 2 colleagues in class. I was now in high school. I was 15. And I said to them, because in my dream, they were kicking me out of their church. I never saw that church. So I said to them, why are you pretend to be holy, because I know you and you're not. So why did you kick me out of your church? And they looked at me and said, what's wrong with you? You don't even know where we go to church. Come and see. And I thought, okay, I'm going to go check this out, because I was curious why they kicked me out. In the dream, a voice told me, you're not allowed to come here. This is a holy place. So, my curiosity was really out top levels. Yeah. So I went on a Friday. I didn't tell my parents. It was youth practice songs evening. I went in, and the presence that I felt when I was dreaming that I was an angel and I could fly, I felt it in that place. So when I walked in, I was in that presence that I already knew. And I sat down. All my classmates, all my friends from school, they were looking at me and said, what's wrong with her? Why is she here? Because I was the child of a teacher that was not supposed to have faith. Yeah. And they were like, what's she doing here? Is she here to mock us, to make fun of us? But for me, when I was sitting down in that small church, feeling that presence, I could not even turn around, and I didn't know what it was. I was just looking at the leader playing the guitar and singing. And then when I didn't want to leave, I wanted to sleep there because I knew at home I couldn't sleep. So I started to go to church because I felt that presence.
Oh, that's amazing, Lena. And what you're sharing is how God met with you exactly where you were, but he didn't leave you there. He revealed himself. I think it'd be a good time to have your second choice of music, which is Al Shaddai. Can you say a little bit about this, please?
Yeah, this song, when I met God and I started to feel him and, to be comfortable in his presence, I started to fall in love with God. And this song expressed how I feel about him and that he's almighty and he pulled me out of that situation.
And my guest today is Lena Galasal. And Lena, just before we listen to that last piece of music, you were saying how you were starting to fall in love with God.
Yes. He was my only desire. I had no one else to lean on to, and he really unveiled himself to me. So because I loved him, I started to do a Bible study course that took me to 2 years of study just before I went to university. And I remember a specific moment when I gave my life to Jesus. A group of youngsters came from the big city nearby to pray with us because they had an experience with God. And I remember I was invited on a Wednesday. I even remember what I was wearing, how important that day was for me. And we were all praying in the middle of that little church. I knelt down and I had the vision about how I was on the edge of a big hole. And because of my burden in my heart, I would almost fall in. But then somebody pulled me and raised me up and put me strong on a rock. And that symbolizes what happened in my life when I was that age and when I became aware that God saved me.
That's powerful.
And the joy that I felt.
Yeah.
And the others, I had a friend that she came out from there crying and she said, I have forgiven everybody. I love everybody. I feel free. So we had this experience that I will always remember. I remember the day, the time I was wearing and everything. Then I decided to get baptized. My parents were much against it. They said, okay, you can do it on your own. My father didn't know. My mom said, you can go on your own. I'm not going to give you a white robe. I'm not going to help you. So I went to Oradea. It was just a close city to get baptized with a bunch of the friends from the church that I had by now. And I got baptized. Really easy, nice ceremony, nothing fancy about it. And I had to share my testimony because, that emptiness that I felt when my brother died, God had filled it with his presence. So I was full again. I was happy and fulfilled, and I didn't need anything else. So from then I went to university, and during the summers, I joined short-term missions with Operation Mobilization because I loved God. I wanted to be all about Him. And we did go to Moldova, Transnistria. One summer, I was a leader in Romania for an international team with Americans and Koreans. So when my brother said about Americans, I was like, yeah, it happened. And we went in Pitești. We were doing outside reach, mission reach. And I remember we preached the gospel to people in the cornfields and on the streets. So we did a lot of that with the sketchboard, and we're doing paintings on it to show how God saved us and tell the gospel. Basically, a lot of people listen. After the revolution, many people were keen to know about God because they were forbidden before.
Yeah.
I also remember one summer I met you because I was translating. It looked like I was the, unofficial translator for OM team every summer. So I had the pleasure to translate for you in one of those specific summer, which was a thank you. It was and I thank God that I met you there.
Yeah, it was a beautiful time. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So it was all about finishing university. I was getting ready to be a teacher, which I did not want it to be because my mom was a teacher. But God really spoke to me then. I wanted to do something else. And I couldn't because there were not enough students to apply for that university. So I went to do French and Romanian language literature. And I had my exam, and God really worked for me. That was an experience that I feel I want to share. because we had to study hard. We had exams. They were like 4-hour exams, different types, like of oral or written exams. And I didn't study what I was applying for. So I had to take extra tutoring lessons. So I applied and, I wasn't like 100% I'm going to get in. Those days, 4 years of university, the government would pay for it. So it wasn't on my account. And I tried. I went in, I did my best. My mom said that summer, do not get baptized. Wait until you go to the university, see if you get in, and then you can get baptized after that if you want. And I said, no. I was in my grandparents' village picking up blueberries when my mom told me that. And I said, I'm not playing with God. If I want to get baptized, this is not related to going to university. And she said, yeah, you always have to do what you want. Let's see how this turns out. So I did got baptized. Then I had the exams. And guess what? I didn't get in. I failed. I failed under the line, the 9th person. So my mom said, I told you didn't listen to me. Now what are you going to do? And I said, don't worry. And that time I started to read the Bible, get up in the morning, 8 o'clock sharp, read the Bible, have time with God. I wasn't disappointed. And my mom said, you can't just stay around. You have to do a course. So go back to the city and sign up for this course to do typing. We had those machines that you started to type on, like a computer on paper. Dactylography, it's called. So I went there for 2 weeks and I got a phone call from university saying, Miss, how long are you going to make us wait for you? Are you not going to join classes? And I said, excuse me, what do you mean? And she said, well, there have been 10 places added to the number of students that can attend. As you failed the 9th, do you want to come in or not? And I said, yes, I want to come in.
That's fantastic.
So I started university 2 weeks later after, it started. And I was very happy. And my mom saw God was in this. And she saw that he was helping me in my life to sort out what I was doing.
Oh, that's fantastic, Lena. We're going to take a break here and we're going to listen to your next choice of music, which is Here I Am to Worship. Thank you. Welcome back to Close Encounters on Cross Rhythms with me, Anne Donaldson. And my guest today is Lena Galasal. And Lena, I know that you have an amazing husband, Radu, who's by your side. Tell us about how you met him.
I was in my late years at university when we went with some friends up in the mountains by the lake. He came too from their side. That was the first time we met. I was still doing a short-term mission and I was applying to go to Logos ship for 1 year through around the world with Operation Mobilization as a missionary. But I was also preparing for my exams. So when I was there, I took my books with me and he noticed me because I was learning when they were having fun.
Yeah.
And he got interested in me. I didn't know at that time. So we went back to my place in the city in Oradea. And I went on to missions and I went on with my studying. We met about half a year later. And then we started dating. We got married a year after. My parents were very much against us because he's a Christian. They were supposed to marry me with an Orthodox man and not a Pentecostal. In our culture, it's a big deal to change from a church to another. So he experienced the same thing with his parents. He's coming from an Orthodox family. And he asked God to give him a wife that is not from a Pentecostal church, but from like him, who changed churches, because that's what he wanted. And I also asked God, I never wanted to get married. I don't think I ever told you that. Because when my brother died, I felt like it's not worth it to put people to misery and pain. So why have a family and, when I die, they will suffer. I didn't want to be married, but God had other plans. And I was in a group of 5 girls in our church, and we were praying for all of us to get married. I told them from the beginning, I don't want to, but I will support you in this. So for 2 years we prayed. And when I met Radu, I knew he was from God because God gave me some signs that I asked. One of the signs was that he would look like my brother that died. And he looked so much like him. And I was like, wow, maybe this is one of the signs. But that one led to more and more. We got married. We had a very small wedding, like in UK. In Romania, you have big weddings, like 300-400 people. We had a very small one. My parents being against it, they didn't attend. They have not invited my extended family. So it was only the small church that I would go, friends and his family. But we didn't care. We had to pay for it. I was by then already working as a teacher. After 1 year, I finished university. I started work as a teacher. And we moved back to my home village where I was working with my mom. Now, because I married my husband, she stopped talking to me and to us for 3 years. I had our firstborn, a son, in 2003. She didn't know him. She didn't met him. She said I was dead for her. So it was hard to go in the same workplace with her and, share time with her there. But after 3 years, it got okay. Then we had our second born, a daughter, in 2005, in 2006, actually. And then when she was 6 months old, my husband had a severe car accident. He almost died. His
His spleen.
His spleen was affected. Actually, it broke into pieces, and 75% of the blood was in his abdomen. They rushed him to the hospital. He was almost dead. It was very bad. But God, God had put all these details together to have the right doctor, to do the right thing. Because on the outside, he didn't have anything, no blood and nothing. Inside, everything was damaged. I think God gave me a strong faith then. And I didn't believe at all that he was going to die. I had 2 small children. I didn't see myself as a widow. And I hang on to God and I said, you just gave me a husband that I didn't even want in the first place. I don't want to take him away from me and leave me with 2 children now. What's all this?
Poor Radu.
So God had, he took charge and he said, I think he had mercy on him and on us. And he saved him.
Yeah.
It was hard to recover. It was hard. But then he got fine. We opened up a shop for 2 years because he wasn't able to work hard with a very big operation on his tummy. But then we had to close it because the recession came. So we grew up our children in that village. It was a nice period of time. I was at one time the deputy head in our school. My mom retired. And then we started to work with the Glow. God has asked me to take leadership of a Glow women in Romania, and then went on for 5 years at the same time as we were raising children. And that was a very good experience.
That's good. That's good. And then God spoke to you about coming to the UK. Perhaps now we'll take a break and then we can pick that up after the next song. I was just saying that you came, you sensed God bring you to the UK, and in 2014 you did. And it was delightful to have you much nearer, living in a place where we can meet up and continue with our friendship. So you're here in the UK, Lena, but you face a very big challenge, don't you?
Yeah. I always knew I would move out from my little village because I was keen to discover the world, and I wouldn't set in one place. So I was happy to come to UK. It was a struggle at the beginning. It was really hard to make UK our home and to understand the system. But God helped us through. We've got so much testimonies, so many testimonies about how He helped us to stay here. We also had challenges. We were trying to have a child when I was 40, because when I had Paula, we talked, and Radu and I said, when we will be a bit older, it would be nice to have a child with us, because the older ones are going to leave us. So we won't just be by ourselves. So we tried for a baby. I was in my 40s, early 40s, but that was a miscarriage. I had a girl called Sophie, but she died of high drops when she was 26 in my womb, months in my womb. So, sorry, weeks, not months. And I don't know why that happened. It was a very heartbreaking experience, but I felt God so close in it. And He started to say to me that He's going to give me another child, and I refused. I wasn't disappointed so much in what has happened, but in the time that took for me to have another pregnancy, because I was thinking I'm getting old and if this is not happening. So after 1 year, we just stopped. We didn't want another child. We went on with the grief. We learned some lessons and God helped us. But in this time, He grew something in me, like a vision. And with my friends from our town, Tabita, which we have helped to come to UK, we started to pray. For 9 months we prayed. And when we have stopped to try for a baby, then God has taken action. And I got pregnant. I didn't know. It was a surprise. And I was scared. I didn't really enjoy this last pregnancy because, you know, what happened before, what has took a toll on me. Mm-hmm. But she was fine. Everything was fine. And I gave birth to a daughter in November 2019, 1 year and 2 weeks later that the stillbirth that I had with Sophie. Mm-hmm. And I felt God being the redeemer for me and my family, because He gave me a girl, like Sophie, she was a girl. He gave me a girl, and He even called her name. He said that she's going to be called Abigail. And Abigail means joy of the Father, because God knew that my husband needed to be healed as well in his heart. So she is a joy for us. She's really hands full, and it's such a joy to have her. Very challenging with her because we're not young anymore. She is now 6. But with her, it started the vision we started to do the work with Busy Bees. So when I was with Abigail as a child, I had to go a lot outside because you can't just stay in the house. And I was tired of visiting all the shops and stuff. And I was thinking there were so many mothers like me. Mm-hmm. They don't do anything. We don't have our families from Romania to, you know, have fellowship with. We church have only a few Sundays. And I felt like God was calling me to, and Tabitha, to gather the mothers and have fellowship and talk about God, have a cup of coffee together, and just, share about our struggles and be there for each other. So this is how our BCB ministry started in 2019, March. So we have about 6 years now.
And the ministry has grown and grown.
Yeah, we started with 12, and then now we are 40. We even had to change places to rent a bigger room because we couldn't fit in the small room. And we're doing Bible studies together. We are organized in small groups, houses, and we meet twice a month on a common ground. But then we have Bible studies in different houses.
That's
fantastic.
Really nice. Lena, it's been an absolute delight to share with you and talk with you today. And I know the last song that you've chosen is actually a Romanian song. Can you just give us a brief idea of what it's actually about?
Yeah, it's called I deschis Cerul Taul, and it actually presents the gospel and what Jesus did for us. And this song, I played it a lot in my early days as Christian, because it's the whole gospel.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Close Encounters on Cross Rhythms. True stories, real people.